Hello and welcome to another vlog. This week's theme is wheelchairs, so I want to talk a little bit about my personal experiences as a wheelchair user. Now, I'm currently on my fourth wheelchair. It's my third power chair and my fourth wheelchair overall. I got my first wheelchair when I was 9. It was a manual wheelchair, which I used part-time. And then I got my first power chair when I was 11, which I used full-time. So like I said, this is my third power chair. Um, Now, my current chair cost about $30,000, and to an ordinary person, that does sound like a lot of money. The starting price for most electric wheelchairs is about $7,000, but most wheelchair users don't pay that because wheelchairs aren't one size fits all, and we have specific needs that need to be met. Um, for example, some of the features that I have on my wheelchair are recline and tilt. The reason I have these features on my wheelchair is because of my muscular dystrophy. I don't have a lot of range of motion, so it makes it very difficult for me to reposition myself in my chair. So the tilt and the recline help with that, and without them I'd not only be very uncomfortable in my chair, but I'd risk getting sores and ulcers and things like that, which can be quite serious. I also have some other features on my chair. For example, elevation. It raises up. This helps me reach things up high and get under high tables and things like that. So that's also very useful. And I have things like cup holders and phone holders, which make my life a lot easier. Um, the bottom line is I'm sitting in my wheelchair for probably at least 14 hours a day, so it's important that I'm comfortable and I have everything that I need. So that's why you have all those features. Um, so I really want to stress that wheelchairs are not one size fits all. Now, here in Nova Scotia, the government does not fund medical equipment like wheelchairs. There are some provinces that do fund those things, but Nova Scotia is not one of them. So you rely heavily on out-of-pocket expenses and insurance and nonprofit organizations to help you pay for things like that. And so for me, that it was the same way. My current wheelchair was paid for primarily by our insurance as well as a number of community organizations. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the process of getting a new wheelchair. So this wheelchair I've had for a little over a year, and it took me probably about a year to actually get the wheelchair, to go through the process and get the wheelchair. So it all started probably around, I'm going to say, the summer of 2015 that I actually started the process. And basically what I did was I met with the occupational therapist and the salesperson, and we discussed what kind of chair I wanted and what features I needed and wanted on the chair. And they began the process of filling out the order form. They also took some measurements so that they could fit me with proper seating and things like that. So once the order form was all filled out, it was time for me to work on securing funding so that I could actually afford my wheelchair, which by that point we already knew it was going to be about $30,000. Um, so like I said, we did get our insurance to cover a large portion of it. I think they covered about 80% of it, but then we still had 20% that needed to be covered. So there was a number of community organizations that I went to that I was able to get some funding from them, namely Muscular Dystrophy Canada and Easter Seals Nova Scotia helped fund the rest of it. So that was very good, but it took a while to secure the funding, almost a year to get the funding. Anyway, once I got the funding, they went ahead and they ordered the chair. And then you have to wait until the parts come, which can take several weeks or several months. Now, when the parts come, the wheelchair is not assembled. They actually have to build the wheelchair when they get the parts. So when the parts come to the wheelchair store, the dealership, or wherever you're getting the wheelchair from, they have to build it, which can take a few weeks. So once your chair is ready and it's built and they've worked out all the bugs, you go back to the occupational therapist and you see your new chair. You get in the new chair and try it out. so that they can make sure that it fits you and then it works properly, and of course that you're comfortable with it. And once you're comfortable and everything's been worked out and you know how to use the wheelchair and you're comfortable with it, then you take your wheelchair home and you pray that nothing happens to your wheelchair, and if it does, it's covered under warranty. Now, I did have a few months after I got my chair, I did have a few issues with the elevation, but they did fix those and that was covered under warranty. So hopefully I won't have any more problems with this chair, but the problems that I have had have been fairly simple to fix and have been covered under warranty. Right, so that's the process of getting a wheelchair. I hope that's just helped you to understand things from my point of view a little bit better so that you can better understand what it's like to be in a wheelchair. If you want to learn more about wheelchairs, I hope that you'll check out Thursday's video, which is going to talk all about different types of wheelchairs, their features, a little bit about their history, and why they're important. So I hope that you'll check out that video. Anyway, thanks for watching and see you on Thursday.